So I'm going to start with my base, which is, this is the cold, this is the hot press. And you got to be careful when you're taking off the thing. And what I like to do is I'm going to trim it down a little because I'm going to mount it on a 5x7 mixed media greeting card. Strathmore makes them. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trim it down just a little. I'm going to trim maybe 1/4 of an inch off. So this is a 5-inch card, so I'm going to make it 4 3/4, just enough so that there's a border, and then by 6 3/4. I think that's 6 3/4 right there. But let me just, yeah, that's 6 3/4. I think. All right, just got to trim 1/4 of an inch off. There it is. Okay, so I've trimmed it down to size so it'll fit really nice on a card. That's just how I like to do that, but you don't have to do that. The first thing I'm going to start with is the watercolor card, because we'll do the trees as well. We'll do all that. Candles, trees, and birds. Birds, yes. A tree. Okay, the first one I'm going to do is the candle, because it's really easy. You can make your if you want to have text in the middle of the candle, you can have thin text or big bold text. And I think it'd be fun to do maybe. I'm gonna grab another piece of this tape. See if I can find it. Oh, good, I found it. Yay! There's different widths of this tape. So you've got, this is the Nitto tape. That's like a 1/2 inch. This is maybe 3/4, and that's a 1/4 inch. This is Nichiban masking tape, and I really like this stuff. I'm so glad that you're here. Oh, hi, Elka. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you can access the chat. Yay. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to mask off. I'm going to use this size. I'm just going to put it on. I'm going to use my board here because I like to paint on my board. And I'm just going to mask off. I'm going to do it kind of at the lower part of the card, like right there. And then I'm going to put the lower. So I'm thinking of a large word and then something maybe small. So you can do, different size maskings, whatever you want. You can make a whole bunch of masks, but I'm just doing this one. And then I could do a border, which if I wanted to go all the way, color it all the way around. And I'm not going to do that today, but if I wanted to do a border, kind of like the ones like these, let's see if I'm going to grab the one sample. Let's see, this one, no, I don't think I have one of those. Actually, I think they look better without a border. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and you can do this for all of your candles. If you're going to do 3 candles, you can do 9 candles. Like for the Hanukkah, you can do 9 candles. And you would do it probably on a horizontal format because you're going to need the room. And this one, I'm going to do 3 candles and different widths. And I think I'm just going to do one bit of masking. I'll use this for something else, right? I'll just lay it over there. So simple to do this. You just need your watercolor. Of course, I'm just going to grab some watercolors. And if you have sparkly watercolors in your stash, please use it because it seems to always add a little yummy fun to it. So I'm just going to scooch this so that I have room. There we go. So you can see what I'm doing. And this gives, having this here is good. And I'm going to burnish this one down just a little. This one kind of bleeds through a little bit more than this for some reason. I don't know why. So I'm going to have my water. I've got some watercolors. I'm going to use a flat brush. And I'm going to use the Fusion brush. And it's a nice little flat wash brush. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to use what's already in my palette right here. There's this pretty blue. It's like a phthalo. It's already in the palette. So I'm just going to use what's there. And you could mix things up if you want to add. You can just start with your basic blue. And then I'm going to, in a moment, I'm going to add some glitter. But while I'm waiting, well, actually, I need to get these wet. So I'm just going to wet down these to get them ready and softened so that I can go in there and use the glitter. But and I might even add a little Payne's Gray if that's in there. I think that is a Payne's Gray, I hope. Yeah. So it's like a blue, it's a subtle blue. And I'm going to start with the middle candle and I'm going to go start down here and I'll go up to about here because I want to have a flame. So the flames make it really cool. So I'm just going to go up. And actually, the best way to do this is if you can't draw a straight line, which I can't, I'm going to make a horizontal line. And a way to keep it straight, if you have, I'm going to grab this because I just realized I have this little Omni grid. And you know what's handy about that? It's kind of a way to mark your just the horizontal line so that you're not going all Eiffel Tower on your on your candles. So you're going to take, so if you want to make kind of a line and you want to just line up the edge, like I'm looking under this little grid, I'm just going to, if I could see the edge, and I'm just trying to line that up kind of just so that it's straight. And now I kind of use that as a guide. So when I'm going up this thing, it's, you know, it's not on there. It's just as a guide because otherwise I lose where I'm at. And then I'm just going to take this and go a little wider, not too wide, but just like here, maybe up to about right here. Oops, and I'm already doing it. So I should probably use the grid. That's funny. I was using it as a line, as the ruler. So now I need to even that out. So I don't have a wonky candle, but it's okay even if you do. That's the thing. The beauty of watercolor is the more unnatural it looks, the better it looks, I think. So I'm going to add a little bit of sparkle to this. I'm just going to put some sparkly little drips in there. And then I'm going to take maybe some more blue, maybe this blue. I'm going to really do some like concentrated amount of blue right at the bottom and at the top. And I've got that one candle, maybe some on the side and here, just to kind of give that like some difference in the candle. So that it looks cool. Now, I'm just going to look at my thing here. That's not too bad. It's a little curved. See how it's slightly curved? But I'll make up for it with the other candles. This time I'm not going to use the ruler. I think it might have harmed me more than it helped. So I'm going to do blue because I think the blue is really pretty. And I'm going to do another candle right from here and go straight up, but maybe a different height than the first one. Just kind of, you know, there, just maybe there. That's all, right there. And maybe the same, definitely the same, at the bottom, the same distance. Okay, so that's a thinner one, and then I'll probably do a fatter one on the other side. So I'm going to add a little glitter to my mess here. I'm just going to add it straight in rather than dropping it in drops. And then I'll just add a little Payne's gray to that, or I can put a little green. I don't use a lot of green. I don't know why. I should, but I'm just going to drop a little green at the top and the bottom while the candle's still wet, and then also drop some on the sides so that just kind of, it will all blend together. Now I'm going to make a wider one from here to here. So this one's going to be a blue, but it might be a lighter, just a softer, a much more subtle blue. But you can make them any color you want, whatever, you know, whatever makes you happy to do, make those candles any color. This one's going to have some glitter in it, just straight in. So I'm going to make it wider and it's going to be a little lower. So I've got about double the width of the other two. And it's a little bit lower. It's going to look a little bit uneven. I want it to look like it's maybe burnt down a little bit. You see, I've just kind of, instead of making it straight, I'm kind of having it at an angle. So there's those. And then I'm just going to add some blue, intense blue to the bottom and intense blue to the top. And you notice I'm just using my flat brush. And I'm going to just let that drip, kind of like the way candles, you know how they drip. Let's just let that drip, and that will look really, hopefully, yep, that's what it's doing. That's what I want it to do. Keep going. But I want that drip, drip, drip to happen. So you can make it look really, really cool as you work. Now, this bottom, or this part's going to have a horizon. I'm going to do something with that. And what I'm going to do now, though, is I'm going to create the areas that are going to be the glow of the candle. And if you have dirty water, like right now I have blue water, I'm going to use some water that's clean because I don't want to put blue in this mess up here. So I'm going to do clear water only. I'm going to make some kind of circle shapes. Well, they're not circles. They're like little large teardrops or large raindrops. They kind of start really, I'm just going to kind of go up like this. If you can see, hope you can see that. There it is. See how that looks? That is going to be, I'm going to do that to all three. Just some like a larger than the actual flame itself, because I want it to look like it's glowing. So I'm just kind of going bigger than the actual piece or the candle itself. It's going to look like it's going to be glowing. Okay, there we go. And it's nice and wet. So when I drop in the color, I'm going to drop in some yellow. And I want to make sure there's nothing else in it but just the straight yellow. And I'm just going to drop it in at the bottom, right here and here and here. You can see, and I want it to kind of sort of spread. This is where, we're tempted to just paint it in, but it's really better to let it spread. I'm going to add a little orange to it, just a little bit, because I think that yellow is just a little too lemony. And now I'm going to just let it spread. Now I don't have my, I might just have to push it a little bit. Normally I would be, I'm going to leave it alone. I always say I'm going to mess around with it. And then I'd say I always wish I hadn't. So I'm just going to, but I want you to see it. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of bring in a little bit of that yellow up so you can kind of see what's going on here. And it'll be much prettier when it dries and more noticeable. You can kind of see where it's going, right on the outside of that wet wash that I did. And you want it really pale, so you can see that, okay? Then I'm going to add some orange, more brilliant, like a nice orange right at the base of what I just did. Just tap it right in the base, right in this base. And this orange is not spreading much, it will spread though. And then I've got a real red, and I'm going to even just tip it with just a red right there and right there. So that's going to dry really nice. I'm going to lift this up now because it looks like it's ready, and it looks like a nice sharp line. Go slow when you lift. And now I've got the space to do my writing, and then I'm also going to do a base down here. So I'm going to make this base a very kind of neutral table sort of top. Maybe I'll do a little, excuse me, a little warm color here. It's just kind of going to be a very subtle color. I don't know if that's just kind of a grayish brown. I added some warmth to it. Just going to go right to the base of those candles. So that gives it like a place to land. I'm just going to go across the whole thing. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little shadow to each of those. So a little purple shadow. I'm just going to add a little purple to what I just had in that, mix that I just had. I'm sorry you have to leave, but so glad you're enjoying it. Yay, Evelyn. Thanks for coming. And the omni grid is nice, isn't it? Okay, so I'm going to put a little purple, purple, and purple. Just a little touch so that it looks like a shadow. And then got to wait for that to dry. And I'm going to add some other things to this. But I could, at this point, now I've got to think, I was going to write something. Oh, I just realized this is a very small. So thinking, now that I know, I would have, for the words I was thinking of using, I was going to do peace on earth, but I can't do that because I have a skinny little thing. So I think I would have done peace with the larger candle, smaller candle for the word on, and then earth a little larger. So that's basically how if you're going to do the lettering, you have to do it that way. So with this one, I have to think of it. To all, I don't know. I have to think of something. But see how these are nicely kind of, it's looking really nice. It's like a little subtle shadow going on there. And what I have to do is wait for this to dry. So I'm going to put this aside in progress. I'm going to stick it aside, but you can do, like I said, all kinds of candles this way. So I'm going to set it aside to let it dry. This one I'm going to use the number 3 Detail Master pigment liner, and I'm going to make the wicks. That really changes it. Look, I mean, just putting that wick like a little bit like that just gives the flame more of a realistic kind of look. And someone had said, what was it, Joy? What was it? I gotta read it. It was perfect. Shoot, I gotta read this text. Oh, Joy on Earth. Okay, I'm gonna do that. Why not? Let's just do it. So I'm going to. We need that joy on Earth. I'm gonna do it. So I'm gonna write right here. I'm just gonna write joy. Yes, I can do it. It'll work. Yay! And then joy, and I'm just kind of going within the parameter of the candle. Now, on is gonna have to be smaller, but that's okay. I'm just gonna go like right here, kind of in the middle, just because it's not an emphasized letter. And then Earth is gonna be nice and bold and big. Now you see how I do my lettering. And like I said, this lettering was developed as a result of taking Wendy's Love Your Imperfect Letters course. It was incredible. And I had someone on my Facebook page say that it really was hard on her OCD to have uppercase and lowercase letters. So I know, but there it is. That's the lettering. Let me just see if there's anybody. I don't want to miss any. Okay, so there it is. And if you wanted to, you can also add line work around that. And if you really wanted to do a little more to the just to give the flame a little more definition, let me show you what I'll do. And then I'll move on to some birds. So I'm just going to go into use a little orange, mix it with some yellow, kind of like very pale. I don't want to overdo it. Just going to go just very pale. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to make a flame shape that just kind of goes in like that. Maybe a little more yellow. Just going to drop that in. And same with this, just a little flame shape and a little flame. That's it. Then that gives a little more, kind of dimension. And then what I could do is when this dries, or no, not when it dries, actually when it dries, I could take a wet brush and then dab and make that, some of the color lift, and it will glow. I love that one. I think that turned out nice.